Kate Kemp-Griffin, and you're listening to Paris Undressed on the Paris Underground Radio. My guest today is author Jami Bernard. She is a former internationally acclaimed film critic for New York daily newspapers and a sought-after speaker and media consultant. Jami is the author of 10 books, including the authorized biography of iconic filmmaker Quentin Tarantino, The Man and His Movies. She is also the founder of Barncat Publishing, where she helps writers find their voice and finish their book. That's how we met. I had an idea, but I didn't know how to get that idea onto paper. While I had written essays at university years ago, I had never done any creative writing. So when I found an online course about writing memoirs, I signed up with Jami as our intrepid teacher. She taught us everything, from writing the manuscript, putting together a book proposal, pitching an agent, and the ultimate high, getting published. I credit her humor and tough love in helping turn my idea for a book into Paris Undressed, The Secrets of French Lingerie, which was published in 2016 in North America with foreign rights sold in the UK, Australia, Poland, Japan, and the Czech Republic. Along the way, we became friends, really good friends. And while she taught me a lot about words, language, and writing, I taught her a couple of things about bras and lingerie. Jami joins me from New York, and today's conversation is about writing, lingerie, sexuality, sensuality, and friendship. Let's get started. Well, hello. Lovely to be with you, Miss Jami Bernard. Long time no see.
Hello there. Bonjour.
Bonjour. It's been a while. Welcome to the first episode of Paris Undressed, the podcast. You are obviously the most perfect guest to start this with. And why? Well, why?
I'm also a perfect person.
You are a perfect person, but Paris Undressed would not exist without you, the book, and our friendship wouldn't exist without you or the book. Jami, let's talk a little bit about how we met.
Oh, we met online.
Way back.
Yes, that was a long time ago. 2007?
We did. You were my first online romance.
I was teaching a class online. You were in my very first class.
Very first class.
And yeah, you were the only one in the European time zone. So it was really late at night for you, which I guess explains why sometimes you would look like you were asleep and drooling. But I didn't mind because you worked so hard. And I told everyone then, and I still say it because I love to repeat myself, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't do anything with it, nothing happens. But you can start from nowhere, having never written before, and get a book published if you will work at it. So, and you really worked at it. You brought in a chapter a week, I think. You were like, I'm going to finish this by December. And I'm like, wait, hold on. Hold your horses there. But you did. You finished, then you had to rewrite. That was the part you didn't realize, I think, is that once you write the first draft, then the writing starts.
Well, then 9 years of rewriting happens.
But you were the first person in that group to get an agent. You were very focused, and you invited me to France. And I was thinking, I'm from New York. Yeah. I was thinking, she doesn't mean that.
Yeah.
It's like saying, well, let's do lunch sometime.
Yeah. And
I actually came there, and you insisted I stay for a few weeks, which was crazy.
Right. At the time, it was an extended invitation. I really had to rein it in, but I remember thinking, all right, she might say yes to 2 weeks. So let's not push it further than that, but maybe just 2 weeks. And your New York armor of resistance was up.
And the minute you picked me up and we drove onto the grounds, and I'm like, this is like a fairy story. This is it's so beautiful. And the kids are in the pool with your husband, and everyone is like, it's so beautiful. There was the wisteria arbor. I couldn't believe my good fortune, but better than all of that. I mean, you were perfectly nice and we got along online, but when I met you in person, I was like, she has a sense of humor. She is really funny. I didn't get that when you were drooling on your keyboard for all those sessions.
No, and the humor was something that took a while to come out, which is part of the writing process too. And our humor, and I remember this distinctly because of being online and lots of feedback and suggestions done by online, that there were many times where you would just write, huh, in the margins. And when we met, you said to me, you're so much more interesting than you're writing.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
Oops.
And
Well, it was true because like many people who haven't written a book before, I mean, even people who are seasoned journalists, they don't realize how much you can and ought to put your personality into your writing. People are taught in college to keep your personality out of your writing. I think it's completely upside down, unless you're doing academic stuff. And you have to learn how to allow yourself, first to allow yourself, give yourself permission to put yourself on the page. And then how do you put yourself on the page?
Right. And not hear a gong and feel like you're going to be booed off stage. Right. But that took a long time, and it was really scary, and there were lots of laughs. But that, I think, was the hardest part of writing, was learning how to have the courage almost to dare to put a joke on the page. There's this idea with writing that if it's a serious sentence, it's serious writing. And over the years, I remember writing very serious sentences that went on and on and on. And now when I look back, and while they might have been perfectly grammatically something, they were completely forgettable.
Yeah, you used to work so hard crafting the perfect sentence.
Yeah.
And so hard, the sweat pouring off your brow. And I would look at it and say, I don't like this. Yeah. This is too curlicue for me. Like, it doesn't sound like you, and it doesn't sound like anyone I know.
No. And it's
much better to let your, to say it the way you would say it, to say it directly to the reader, and not worry about, did I use enough words from the thesaurus?
Right.
Did I use large words? Yeah. People don't care about that. They want to make a connection with the writer. And you were preventing yourself from making that connection.
Yes. And then the topic, to get us to the lingerie of the whole thing, and underneath it all, shall we say, there's a technical side to lingerie. There's certainly a provocative side that borders along erotic, vulgar, romantic, and all the rest. And those words, that lexicon of language, was very hard to find as well. And so, nobody, you are the first credit in my book at the end. Aww. For us to have gotten there was a long, arduous, and, belly laughing time at the same time as well. But what did you learn yourself about lingerie and France?
Oh, sure. I learned a lot. I feel I can work on any book, no matter the topic, as long as I see the story or, what's being. So I worked on someone's book where there was a football story. I couldn't care less about football, but I can follow the human story of it. So I felt I could work with you and edit it, but I didn't know anything about lingerie, really. One of the things I learned, one of the first things, you had a chapter about it's like 150 parts in a bra or something like that. I'm like, what? There's like some lace and some straps. What are you talking about? And because I had to really concentrate to make sure it sounded right, I began to understand how to look at a bra to see how well it's made. The materials, but also those little parts. And I saw why good bras are expensive. I have friends who are like, I wouldn't spend more than $17.99 on a bra. I was like, no, mine. And I'm wearing one of them now. You can't see really, but it's, is this empreinte?
Yeah, it's empreinte. Yeah, I can tell. For those listening, I can actually see Jami and I are looking at each other, and I can tell from the bra strap that it's an empreinte. Yeah.
And the excellent lace work there. Mm-hmm. But the fit in every possible way. Also, I didn't know how a bra is supposed to fit. I thought, well, you put it on and there it fits, right? And I would be guessing at the size. I thought, oh, I gained weight. I'll just get a larger band size. And I kept getting larger and larger bras. They were flopping around. They didn't fit at all. And I do want to share with your listeners, after these 3 weeks of the first visit, it was the day I was supposed to leave, and we're printing out my plane ticket and stuff. And you looked at me and I thought, oh, she's going to say what good friends we've become. And you said, your nipples are in the wrong place. And I'm glad that we early on developed a friendship where you felt you could say this to me.
Well, you did say about my writing, so I felt completely allowed to be able to say, "Oh, darling, your nipples aren't in the right place." And
well, I looked down and I'm like, "What? Where are they supposed to be?"
And remember where they're supposed to be? They're supposed to be halfway between your shoulder and your elbow.
Yeah, I walk around with a tape measure just to make sure that that's happening.
Sure. Now you don't need to because you're wearing the bras that fit.
Well, you said I had to promise you. Oh, no, not to just promise you. Before you would drive me to the airport, you made me go online and make an appointment at the right kind of bra fitting place back in New York so that as soon as I got back, I could have someone fit me. And when they figured out my actual size, I could not believe how far off I had been. I think I had thought I was a 44, double D. And they said I'm a 36G. And I'm like, G? What is that? What? I didn't know there was, such a thing. But as we went along working on the book, when I was really advanced, I understood sister sizes. It's where the band gets larger, but the cup gets smaller. And I was like, why would that? Mm-hmm. What's that about? Yeah. But I did begin to understand all this. So I learned a lot that way, but also you helped me with, you looked at my bras and what they were doing for me or not doing for me. So I really did learn a lot about it. And it has changed my life because I only have the finest bras and I love them.
Yeah, you do. I can confirm that Jami does have a beautiful collection of bras now that you actually renew on your own, from time to time when
this one is new.
Be. That one's new as well. Yeah.
This is a sister size. I figured it out myself.
Well, it's hard to add 1 minus 1, carry the 1. I mean, the whole notion of sister sizes and this idea that there is a size, and as we sort of, explain that not even one brand has the same kind of sizing system as another. So what's really important in learning how to size is knowing what to look for. So if whatever you put on, whether it fits or it doesn't fit. You had I remember a big collection of sports bras the first time you came over as well.
Yeah. Well, yes. I got new sports bras that actually, I have large breasts. It's a blessing and a curse. I've always loved them, but sports bras, forget it, because sports bras, they're worst. They either flatten you into a monobosom, which is a very unattractive look, or anyway, they can't, like if you were to do jumping jacks, you can't when you're large breasted. Well, I got real sports bras for my size. They're comfortable and I can do jumping jacks. That's if I were to go and do them.
Right.
But if I were to
then you know that you could in full confidence just do jumping jacks in the hallway. Exactly.
I was always very embarrassed at the gym because no matter what you do, you're going to flop around. And I just hated that.
Paris Undressed will be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Is Paris the most romantic city in the world? It is, but there's much more to its romantic allure than the Eiffel Tower. The Romancing in Paris podcast aims to reveal the true romantic essence of the city. Secret gardens, hidden historic sites, and terribly seductive bars. Join romantic expert and writer Lily Heisey as we discover the city's best romantic spots, ideal for both curious couples and lovers of Paris alike. Ready to experience the real romantic Paris? Tune into the Romancing in Paris podcast every Wednesday on Paris Underground Radio. Visit parisundergroundradio.com/romancing in Paris to listen and subscribe.
Marie, should I find an apartment before I move to Paris?
Well,
What's a tenant file? And a guarantor? Do I need them?
Depends.
I just bought an apartment. What should I do with it?
Congratulations. Something to think about.
Is it better to rent my apartment furnished or unfurnished? How do I set my rental rates?
Gail, these are all great questions, but the answers may not be so simple. Perhaps it's better to tune into our new podcast, Paris State of Mind.
Oh, that's a great idea. I'm Gail Boisclair.
And I'm Marie Pistinier.
Between us, we have more than 35 years of experience in real estate and rental services. Listen in as we answer all your burning queries.
You can even submit your own questions for us to answer.
Paris, a State of Mind. Mondays on Paris Underground Radio.
And now, back to Paris Undressed. How comfortable are you talking about body confidence and first bra? I'd love to hear about your first bra experience.
Oh, I remember my first bra very well. And as you've pointed out, every woman remembers her first bra. It's a big deal. I didn't want to get a bra because I was a tomboy, and I loved to play outside, run around. Bra, that's like for a woman. I was a kid. But it was pointed out to me, not in a very nice way, that it was time.
By whom?
Well, my mother. And I felt ashamed, that somehow I was disgusting, that I was showing something. She took me to this really old-fashioned kind of corseteer. I hated it there. It was dark and dismal, and some matronly woman is measuring me, and I don't like this woman I don't know seeing me half naked. It was a horrible experience, but the bra was so pretty. It was probably a size AA cup. It had a little bow, ribbon in the middle, and it had a lot of white gauzy material. It was very pretty. And I asked at home if I could wear it to the dinner table that night. Mm-hmm. And they should not have allowed this, really, but they did. And I sat there proudly, eating roast beef or whatever in my little AA bra.
The lingerie boutique was in New York.
Yeah, but once I started buying my own bras, I went to Macy's or someplace that was brightly lit and you had lots of choices. That place just scared me, like behind a curtain with some matron.
Mm-hmm. That it was a very serious event, sort of a coming of age, and now that this happened.
Yeah, because in the department stores, you could feel like you're in a place with there were other teenagers, there was lively music, I felt more like, yeah, we're all doing this now.
Mm-hmm. And how about family member? You have a sister, and with your mom, what was the conversation in general about bras, underwear, sexuality, periods? How was the whole body function and then the beauty of the body?
There was there was none of that. I'm sorry. What are you talking about? We didn't have that.
So were you a bit on your own? Were you left on your own to sort of figure it all out, or
pretty much? My older sister, she's 2.5 years older than I am. She's the one who told me about what sex is about, as if she knew. So she tells me something she read in a book that's completely, I remember her saying, the man will get on top of you and put his elbows, he will rest on his elbows. Yeah. Like what? I didn't even understand this. So no, there was a lot of embarrassment about, I should say my father was a sort of nature boy and he wore his boxer shorts around the house, which was, too much. And my mother was completely the opposite of that. But I grew up feeling a lot of shame about the body. Growing breasts felt wrong. It felt like something disgusting
was happening.
I turned out to love my body and my breasts, but my body is completely different now because of, we put on our bodies things that don't belong on them. And I, at a certain point, gained tons of weight, and mostly, I think, to keep men away because I didn't know how to handle it. I just didn't know, and it was just easier. It's not that men totally went away because I am so intrinsically wonderful, but it was a relief that they weren't hanging over me and my large breasts all the time.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about this as well, but this idea of the messaging of lingerie. Did you understand at a young age that the bra was something for you, or was there some understanding in there that this was for somebody else?
I guess it was definitely for me at the beginning, because I was the one who was budding, and I had to prevent that basically by wrapping it in a bra. So, well, now that I say that, I realize, yeah, that's about other people. It wasn't about me. It was about disguising me. And the idea of sexy bras, but I never got into that. I knew of Victoria's Secret whenever that started, but I didn't go there because I was still a tomboy-like woman, and I wasn't gonna. That's not true. Wait, let me take that back. I never went to Victoria's Secret, but at a certain point, when I felt really sexual, and like in my early 20s, I did buy some beautiful lingerie, a camisole and tap pants. I don't know that they make tap pants anymore, but I tried it on for my boyfriend. I felt a little bit shy. It was so lovely. It was so lovely. And I loved wearing it. I bought it because I had a boyfriend, but I just loved putting it on. And I think that's part of what your book is about, is that lingerie can be for you instead of for him.
Yes, and you've always had a textural sensory antenna. Something I've learned from you is your ability to describe sensations. Whether it's when we're going to the boulangerie and we're picking the most beautiful millefeuille or something in Paris, you have a sensory appreciation for things. And even with the clothing and the texture of your clothing, you're able to distinguish or discern the feeling against your skin. That hasn't always translated into what you've chosen to wear. You can go from hiding, like you say, and then the most beautiful things as well. And I'm just interested in that sort of why one and not the other, or why choose one and not the other.
Well, that's an interesting question. But the problem, I don't know where the problem lies, but no, because all I wear are t-shirts and denim, as I did as a kid. That's really what I gravitate to. And even when I wear something nice that's pretty, once I get home and I don't have to show it off anymore, I immediately go back to the t-shirt and the denim. Part of me does not feel I deserve nice things, unfortunately. I mean, I'm old enough now to know, well, wait a second, what's with that? And yet it's very ingrained that the nice things I own, that's for company. That's for some other time, a special time that probably will never come up, because my closets are stuffed, and all you have ever seen me wear are the same t-shirts over and over till they fall apart. And then I get new ones that look just like the old ones. But I do have a closet full of nice things that then I think, no, my body doesn't support it. My body doesn't look good. This is too embarrassing. I don't know. It's like, why would I still feel that way? And yet it's true. So I buy some nice things and they hang in the closet and I don't touch them.
I think there's a disconnect with a lot of women between what we really want to be able to wear and we can recognize, and then the actual habit of doing it. It's Monday morning reaching for the pretty thing and putting it on without having to have the nudge for, I don't know, it's a day we're going out, it's a day we're going to Paris or into the city, or there's a meeting or something. But this resistance or hesitancy just to reach for the pretty one because we want that. There's something that seems to...
Well, I give myself a lot of excuses. I have a lot of rationales for why I'm doing it. I'll say, well, I have cats and the cat hair, we can't have that. What if they scratch the nice material? I can't do that. I don't know. It's a tough field of questions, because the body, well, like for many women, it's so many things. And I have a lot of shame. It's not just about body, but I have a lot of shame all over the place. Why?
Yeah.
It's like ruling my life.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to separate myself from that. I feel like my body's too large it doesn't deserve, to have nice things. And I'm making a spectacle of myself if I try to look nice.
And yet, when you put on the bra that you're wearing now, you actually love being in it, and you feel better about yourself, and you feel lifted both metaphorically and literally and all the rest. Where are you when you put your bra on in the morning? Are you in front of a mirror, or are you in a corner? Are the lights on, the lights off? What's the routine in the morning for getting dressed?
I'm going to give you the answer you didn't want to hear, but I'm afraid that the way my apartment is shaped and where the windows are, there's one person at the L of the building who can actually, in a certain angles, he could see into my bedroom, Manny. Mm-hmm. And he has a cat named Kitty, which I always find very funny. A man named Manny, a cat named Kitty. So that he won't see me put my bra on, I hide in the dark, and I do it really quickly at the corner of my bed where the sight line doesn't come in. So I sort of furtively put it on. But these bras are the first kind of clothing where it took me years though with you. I finally threw out all the old bras. There's only these nice ones now. There is nothing else bra wise that I own. But for every other kind of clothing, I still have the good and the bad, and I wear the bad. And
you wear the bad, yes. And we all have a tendency with our drawers, lingerie drawers and bra drawers, to keep everything and reach for the same ones and not set sort of this, well, what do I want to be able to choose from every day? What's my range, and how will I always pick something that I love? Lots of bra talk. How about the underwear? Matching, not matching, don't care?
We haven't actually you've worked on me, but you have not gotten to that part. Certainly not matching. I do have what I consider nice, but you are not going to. It's a kind of silky, but it's jockey for her.
Yeah.
But it's a silky one.
Yeah.
It's not the cotton, whatever. So there's leopard print. There's very nice prints. There's a polka dot one.
We've done laundry together in France. So I've seen those leopard print panties hanging out to dry over the river.
So they're not bad, right? Are they terrible?
No, they're not terrible at all. It's more, and nothing is, nothing is terrible if you're happy about it. It's when, and I didn't see you wince. It's when there's sort of this pause and a wince, and you're reaching for something that you would rather be reaching for something else. If you're completely happy with whatever you're picking out, then everything's fine.
I like these. I do like these. But, I would like to wear really pretty, like I would love to wear those, I don't know what you call it, like a bodice, sexy, because I have a thin waist in proportion to the rest of my body. But I feel like I'm too overweight to have any of these lovely things.
Okay. And so the word, and you said it's sexy. What does sexy mean to you?
Yeah, you're right. I'm a very sensual person, and I always have been. And I'm very happy with that. And I've told you, remember the time we were sitting outside at a cafe in Paris, and I was flirting a little with the waiter or something, and you're looking away. I don't know. And I said, as he walked away, I said, I could have him.
Yeah.
And you said, what? No. I said, you could have him too. And you didn't know what I was talking about. And I have this ability, like a gay man, to cruise. I don't know how I got this, but I can see in their eyes and they see it in mine. And I know it's everywhere. I see it. Yeah. It doesn't mean I want to act on it. I just mean that the sexuality is there. It's like everywhere. It's intoxicating. It's wonderful. So I'm very happy with that sort of thing. But then there's the sexiness of me that I feel got me in trouble with men. Mm-hmm. That led to me gaining weight because I didn't know how to say no, not in the sense that men take it, whereas, oh, she's really hot to trot. It wasn't like that at all. It said, I don't know how to say no. Mm. And so I would say, okay, to people I wasn't interested in. I would date men I didn't even like. Mm. Mm-hmm. So I felt it was too dangerous. I can't protect myself. And it's easier for me not to have to make these decisions because I don't make them well.
Okay, so there's a part of making an effort to be unsexy to protect.
Well, I don't, yes, my body, I feel, has become unsexy, but myself is still sexy. I still dance to disco, love it, and get the endorphins going. And, I swim every day in the summer. I love my body, and I'm also ashamed of it. It's a war. It's a constant war.
Yeah. It's a very familiar conflict, I think. Paris Undressed will be right back after a word from our sponsors.
To flâne is far more than to wander, and bonjour means way more than hello. Discover these and more words that teach us what makes the French so French with Navigating the French, Sundays on Paris Underground Radio.
If I ask you what it's like to be a Parisian writer, what do you imagine? Drinking noisette after noisette in a noisy cafe? Jotting down lines in your bedside journal while your lover fetches you fresh croissant? Stumbling down the streets overflowing with prose and red wine like Hemingway? Well, now's your chance to find out. My name is Jennifer Garrity, and I'm host of the Storytime in Paris podcast. In each episode, I chat with a writer with a French connection. The twist? The questions come from you, the writer's biggest fans and followers. Then our beloved writers will read us an excerpt from their books. So cozy up with a noisette, a croissant, or whatever's your pleasure, and settle in for Storytime in Paris on Paris Underground Radio.
And now, back to Paris Undressed. Paris. You haven't been here for a while.
Oh, it's been too long.
Well, you did discover. What did you discover?
Yeah, my sister has been doing genealogy because she got this bug in her where she wants to do genealogy and study our DNA. She made me spit in the cup. And so this morning she texted me. She said, "I found another person you're related to. Do you want me to send you 4 pages of notes on her?" And I said, "No, I don't want another one I'm related to." But it turns out that I am a quarter French, that one grandfather was from Alsace-Lorraine.
Well, I think that's incredible. And you've been using that one to sort of your claim to fame.
I know. I use that to excuse my poor French. One of the things I love about the little charming little village where you live is that they don't speak, it's not like Paris. They don't speak English. I have to use my French, and I use it well enough that I get by. I get what I need. I also have been able to make them laugh. I have found ways to make them laugh, even though my French is terrible.
When you can get to the humor, you sort of feel like you can exist as a person. But you didn't get into the village quickly. I think it was a visit or two.
Oh my God! No, the first year I went, those first 3 weeks, I never went out the gate.
No.
Did you know that? Never.
No.
I didn't step out of the gate.
No.
Because as wonderful as I am, as we have discussed, I am a fearful person. Yeah. And I've had lots of amazing adventures. And yet I'm a fearful person. Yeah. What was I scared of? I can't even say because there wasn't anything, but I couldn't get myself out the gate.
Yeah. Where we are recording this podcast, I'm actually in the room where there is one chair, and the title of that chair is Jami's chair. To give
it's my chair.
Yeah, to give everybody an idea of just how important you are to the moulin where we live and our family and our lives. Well, you're there, safely vaccinated and waiting for the rest of the world to catch up, I hope. And I think November is a possibility, possibly. Will we get we like to do...
I think so. Yeah. I think by the end of the year. Well, I should point out that France is not allowing Americans in yet. So it's not like I can simply waltz in.
No,
no,
and your quarter French isn't going to cut the mustard at the customs.
Cut the moutard? Is that what you're saying?
It doesn't cut the mustard.
No, I think if they knew I was a quarter French, they would open the doors gladly for me.
Yeah, and then let you over, and then we'd never let you leave. So what are you working on?
I'm working on a series of books with a client and friend in Geneva. Not ready to announce anything on that, but that's been fun. Yeah, I'm working on writing, but also during the lockdown, I've been taking virtual piano lessons. Oh, and the painting.
Mm-hmm.
you're the one. It's your fault.
Mm-hmm.
For years, you have all this art stuff. You have a table, and there's all this art equipment, and you kept saying, "Go to the art table and do something." I'm like, "No." You said, like, paint a postcard and send it back to people at home. I said, "No."
Well, let me just back up a little bit, because you're making it sound like the art table was, something from Les Beaux-Arts or something. I'm talking about a few index cards, a palette of, maybe some watercolors and maybe a pencil. And when I didn't ask you to make a postcard the first time, I asked that you write a postcard. So just even writing an address, the use of your hands, if they were not on a keyboard, you weren't doing anything. So this was a big step.
They have to be on a keyboard.
They had to be on a keyboard. So to get you to hold a pencil, let alone a paintbrush, was something else. And now, do you want to say what you're doing?
But also, I felt I had no talent. I believed I had no talent. Zero talent. Like, I'm very good with writing. I'm fine with that. But zero for art. And all I drew were stick figures, and bad stick figures. And so I didn't know why you kept annoying me with this art table. And then my last visit, so it was about a year and a bit ago, end of 2019, I started painting, and I'm good. And I like it.
You're very
and
good.
Because of you, now I have bought all these paints and brushes, and I'm reading books on it, and I love it. Why didn't you tell me sooner?
Well, yes, the resistance, but there, that's a whole nother, the idea, and you're a creative person, writing and all the rest, but there was this belief that you couldn't somehow translate that to another form, which I think is interesting myself.
I think that's true for a lot of people, is that you're used to what you're used to. Mm-hmm. And you think that, because people think that way about writing, I'm not a writer. Well, you don't know until you try something and work at it. Because people think you're either a writer or you're not. You're either an artist or you're not. They don't realize that everything starts somewhere. And if you like it, you keep doing it and you get better at it.
Like
and
everything.
It's often as simple as that.
Yeah. The resistance, I think, comes from thinking that you can't do it. That's the break.
Yes, I think this applies to lingerie as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lingerie component here where it's like, I can't visualize myself as the person who'd be wearing this, and therefore it's not for me.
Mm-hmm. Because
I have not yet visualized myself as a painter, or as, I can't say I'm a painter, I'm a writer. It doesn't, and you have to visualize yourself as the person you can be, and people don't realize they can be something else, something more, something different.
Yeah, an extension of themselves, just a different perspective. And I think that that's something just to keep awake in moving forward for anything, the trying new things. One more thing about the writing, because you did a writing workshop in Paris with Weiss. Weiss is Anglophone Association for Arts and Literature and Visual Arts, and community of getting together for the Anglophone world. And you were the guest, you were one of the guest instructors for the Paris Writers Workshop, and hoping, of course, that might be something else that you will come back and do some more of, or we certainly have writing projects and workshops ourselves, but that's something that you'd like to develop.
I would love to do that.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, listen, please come back soon. We won't say au revoir. We'll say à très bientôt.
Well, I'm afraid to say it because if my accent is bad, so I'm just not going to say it. I'll say ciao.
Okay.
No, this has been great talking about this stuff. It makes me definitely want to come back. As soon as they open the borders, I'll be back.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait. All right. Love you, darling. Thank you, Jami Bernard, for joining us today. If you have writing dreams but don't know where to start, you can find Jami at barncatpublishing.com. And stay tuned for future writing workshops when she can next come to France, which we hope will be very soon. And thank you, merci, for listening to Paris Undressed. Paris Undressed is produced by Paris Underground Radio. For more on this show and shows like it, please go to parisundergroundradio.com.